Entering a 2025-26 campaign full of expectations with momentum after their starters played deep into the fourth quarter and won them a game against the MPJ-carried Brooklyn Nets, the Toronto Raptors' vibes are high. Finishing 4-2 in what seemed like a preseason that lasted forever, how they look to end the exhibition schedule said a lot. Set to play a Trae Young-led Hawks team on opening night, a squad that upgraded their roster by adding Kristaps Porzingis and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Toronto has its sights set on a significantly improved season, with their roster back at full strength, plus former All-Star Brandon Ingram set to make his Toronto debut. Against the Nets, the Raptors' official starting five of Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scottie Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl combined for 97 of the 119 points the Raptors put up in this one. The lineup was extremely active defensively, to put it mildly, as they racked up a ridiculous 15 stocks between the five of them, meaning combined steals and blocks. Alone, Barnes, Poeltl, and Ingram gave Toronto 12 combined steals and blocks, as the Raps' front court was evidently menacing. After what was a rough preseason leading up to this point, Barnes saved his best for last by leading Toronto in scoring with 31 points. Scottie B also dished out 4 dimes, grabbed 6 boards, and snatched 4 stocks. The aggressiveness he was playing with was a sight to behold, as Scottie needs to be putting his head down and attacking as much as possible for him to have success. He can't be settling for mid-range jumpers too much or jacking up too many triples. Knowing his strengths has been an issue for Barnes in the past, and he needs to do a better job of being aware of what he's truly good at and what actually separates him as a special talent in this league. How he was playing against the Nets allowed him to get to the free throw line 12 times, and a great sign is that he knocked down 11 of those charity stripe attempts. Brandon Ingram drained clutch buckets down the stretch against the Nets, and while he only had 13 points, his effort defensively was commendable, as in identical fashion to his partner on the wing in Scottie, Ingram snatched 3 steals and swatted 1 shot. The notorious BI3's legacy in Toronto will be defined by whether or not he can be a catalyst in helping turn around the franchise. Whether that results in Toronto being a middle-of-the-pack team or a team closer towards the top of the East will say a lot about how impactful of a player Ingram can be on both ends of the court. What he did defensively against the Nets is a great step in the right direction in terms of BI showing that he's buying into Darko's system while being capable of stopping attackers with his length, persistence, and physicality. So far so good for Ingram in the 6, as over 4 exhibitions, he averaged 18.2 points in 27.8 minutes per game in the preseason on 44.8% shooting from the field, a ridiculous 52.9% shooting from distance, and 92.3% shooting from the foul line. Immanuel Quickley set the tone against the Nets with his pushing of the pace, floor generalship, and hot 3-point shooting. Quickley had 10 assists, just 3 turnovers, a solid ratio, but anytime you can rack up 10 dimes in a game, it means you're facilitating fairly efficiently. Good on Quick for setting up his teammates in the right spots, and also picking his spots in terms of when to score. IQ made 5 of his 9 deep-range attempts and scored a Raptors' third most 18 points. Quickley's so damn important to this team's offensive flow, so how he entered the 82-game grind with such a decisively solid performance was a great sign. RJ Barrett delivered one of his best outings of the preseason against the Nets, scoring a team's second most 25 points on an efficient 9 for 17 shooting from the field. His rhythm was evident early, finding his spots in transition and showing confidence pulling up from beyond the arc, where he connected on 3 of 7 attempts. Barrett's shot selection looked sharper, with fewer forced drives and more composed reads, a promising sign for a player the Raptors will be leaning on heavily this season. However, one area that still needs refining is his free throw shooting. Barrett went just 4 for 7 from the line, leaving some easy points on the table. For a player who thrives attacking the rim and drawing contact, improving that consistency from the stripe will be crucial to taking the next step offensively. Even with that minor flaw, Barrett's overall performance was a strong statement. He looked in control, aggressive, and comfortable as a focal point in Toronto's offense. Nights like this, efficient, confident, and within the flow of the game, are exactly what the Raptors need from him if he's going to solidify himself as one of their top contributors again this season. Sandro Mamukelashvili and Grady Dick quietly gave the Raptors exactly what they needed off the pine: energy, spacing, and smart shot selection that helped sustain Toronto's offensive rhythm whenever the starters rested. The duo combined for 17 points, each contributing in ways that went beyond the box score. Mamukelashvili's ability to play as a stretch big gives Darko Rajakovic tremendous flexibility. He can run pick and pops, space the floor for drives, or even initiate a possession when defenses sag off. He's also been playing with a contagious energy, sprinting the floor, cutting at the right times, and crashing the glass. Grady Dick, on the other hand, continues to grow into his role as a confident perimeter threat. He's no longer just a spot-up shooter waiting in the corners, he's reading closeouts better, making quicker decisions, and showing improved patience off screens. Both players looked comfortable within the flow of the offense, which is exactly what Toronto needs from its bench. Dependable production that doesn't force the starters to carry every offensive load. If Mamukelashvili and Dick can replicate this level of poise and confidence in the regular season, the Raptors' second unit will become one of their most underrated strengths. For a team that looked disconnected at times during the earlier stages of the preseason, this performance against Brooklyn was a reassuring step forward. The Raptors played with poise, pace, and purpose, traits that define good teams when things start to matter. Their big three of Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, and Brandon Ingram all seem to embrace their offensive roles while still emphasizing defense, which has been a central message from Rajakovic throughout camp. The ball movement was crisp, the spacing looked deliberate, and players were finding each other in rhythm rather than forcing plays in isolation. That kind of chemistry doesn't develop overnight. It's the product of practices where trust and accountability have been built day by day. Toronto looked like a group that understood their identity: defend, run, and play through their versatile wings. When that identity is clear, it simplifies the game, and for the first time in a while, the Raptors look like a team confident in who they are. Another quiet yet vital development this preseason has been the improvement in communication and discipline on the defensive end. Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram are already showing the makings of an elite two-way wing tandem. Their combined length, anticipation, and willingness to help on rotations completely disrupted Brooklyn's perimeter actions. You could see the defensive trust forming. Ingram calling switches early, Barnes reading passes before they developed, and Jakob Poeltl orchestrating everything from the back line like a veteran anchor. It's that cohesion that allows the Raptors to pressure ball handlers without breaking down their interior defense. Toronto finished the preseason among the league leaders in deflections and contested shots, which speaks volumes about effort and engagement. If this level of defensive communication continues into the regular season, Toronto could realistically re-establish themselves as a top 10 defense, something that would make them a nightmare matchup for teams relying on rhythm and finesse. Ultimately, the Raptors ended the preseason looking like a team that's rediscovered its identity and rhythm at just the right time. From the starting five setting the tone, to the bench maintaining the momentum, this 4-2 finish wasn't simply about exhibition wins, it was about re-establishing a winning foundation, plus internal belief. Brandon Ingram's leadership, RJ Barrett's renewed aggressiveness, Scottie Barnes' maturation, and Immanuel Quickley's command of the offense are all converging at the perfect moment. Add in reliable sparks like Mamukelashvili and Grady Dick, and Toronto suddenly looks deeper and more cohesive than they've been in years. Heading into opening night against a retooled Atlanta squad, the Raptors appear ready, not just to compete, but to contend for a return to relevance in the Eastern Conference. If this performance against the Nets was a preview of what's to come, Toronto fans might be in for a season where the energy, effort, and excitement finally match the city's sky-high expectations.